The millionaire thought it was just another ordinary afternoon when he decided to come home early from work. But as soon as he stepped through the front door, he heard muffled cries coming from the backyard. Following the sound, he froze at the sight before him. His own wife standing over their maid's little daughter, her face red with anger. The child was curled up, terrified. In that moment, everything the millionaire thought he knew about his home and the people in it began to shatter. What he chose to do next would shock everyone and change their lives forever. What the millionaire did next turned his entire household upside down. Stay until the end to see how his decision exposed a shocking truth about privilege, loyalty, and justice. The millionaire had built his empire from scratch, a man who prided himself on discipline, fairness, and the idea that his home was a sanctuary from the harshness of the world outside. His wife, born into wealth, managed the household, hiring staff to keep everything running perfectly. Among them was Rosa, their live-in maid, a quiet and hard-working woman who had been with them for years. Rosa's daughter, barely 7, spent most of her time playing quietly in a corner, never causing trouble. To the millionaire, Rosa was more than just an employee. She was part of the family. He often admired her resilience, her dignity, despite the hardships she faced. But his wife saw things differently. To her, Rosa and her child were simply staff, people who should know their place. That day had started like any other. The millionaire attended a series of meetings, signed a lucrative deal, and decided to surprise his wife by coming home early to celebrate. As he drove up the long driveway, he pictured a warm welcome, maybe even dinner together. Instead, the first sound he heard upon entering was a faint sob that didn't belong. He paused, confused, then followed the sound down the hallway and out into the yard. What he saw made his stomach twist, his wife towering over Rosa's little girl, her voice sharp with anger. The child flinched with every word. This wasn't the poised, graceful woman he knew. This was someone else entirely, someone cruel. In that moment, the millionaire felt the air shift. The perfect image of his home cracked. The millionaire's heart pounded as he stood frozen, watching his wife unleash her anger on a defenseless child. The little girl's sobs pierced the quiet afternoon, each sound digging deeper into his chest. He wanted to rush in immediately, but something in him made him stop and observe for just a moment longer. He needed to understand what was happening. From the shadows, he saw his wife grab the child's wrist and pull her up roughly, yelling about something spilled on the floor inside. The child tried to explain, her small hands shaking, but the wife only grew angrier. The millionaire noticed a red mark forming on the girl's arm, and that was the moment he could no longer stay still. He stepped forward, and the sight of him startled both of them. His wife's face went pale, realizing she had been caught. Rosa rushed in from the kitchen, horrified at what she was seeing, and immediately ran to comfort her daughter. The tension in the yard became unbearable, like the air before a storm. The millionaire's wife tried to explain herself, saying the child had broken something expensive and needed to be taught a lesson. But the look in his eyes told her he wasn't buying it. He had never seen this side of her, the coldness, the lack of empathy. This wasn't about discipline. This was about power, about control over someone who couldn't fight back. He told Rosa to take her daughter inside and tend to her, and she obeyed silently, her face still wet with tears. The millionaire and his wife were now alone. His wife tried to brush it off as a misunderstanding, even blamed Rosa for not raising her daughter properly. But the millionaire's anger was quietly building. He began noticing all the little things he had ignored before. The sharp tone his wife often used with the staff, the way Rosa always seemed overly cautious, the fearful glances from the little girl whenever the wife was around. Suddenly, the perfect life he thought they had didn't seem so perfect at all. Over the next few hours, he couldn't shake the image of the terrified child from his mind. He stayed unusually quiet at dinner, observing his wife closely as she acted as if nothing had happened. Rosa and her daughter were silent, clearly shaken, avoiding eye contact. The millionaire knew this wasn't an isolated incident. Something deeper was wrong in his own home, and he could no longer pretend not to see it. That night, he barely slept. The sound of the child's sobs echoed in his head. By morning, he had made a decision, one that would not only protect the innocent, but reveal the true character of everyone involved. The next day, he set a plan in motion, determined to uncover the full truth and take action, no matter the cost to his marriage. The next afternoon, the millionaire returned home earlier than usual, this time intentionally and without warning. He stayed quiet as he entered, moving through the house until he heard raised voices coming from the kitchen. His stomach dropped. It was happening again. He stayed just out of sight and listened. His wife was berating Rosa, accusing her of being ungrateful, of raising a child who didn't respect boundaries. Then came the sound that made his blood run cold. The unmistakable thud of something being knocked over, followed by the sharp gasp of Rosa's daughter. That was enough. The millionaire stormed into the kitchen and the scene froze. His wife stood there furious, Rosa shielding her child. He demanded to know what had happened, his voice sharper than Rosa had ever heard. His wife tried to compose herself, but it was too late. Rosa spoke up, her voice trembling but firm. She confessed that this wasn't the first time this had happened. She revealed that the wife often lashed out at her daughter when no one was around, blaming her for the smallest accidents, humiliating her, sometimes even grabbing her by the arm hard enough to leave bruises. The millionaire felt as though the ground had been ripped from under him. He turned to his wife, expecting denial, but what he saw instead was defiance, as if she truly believed she had done nothing wrong. That was the breaking point. He told Rosa to take her daughter and wait outside. Then, with a calmness that scared even his wife, he made it clear that this behavior would never happen again. He called his lawyer right there in front of her, instructing him to prepare documents that would ensure Rosa and her daughter were taken care of, and that his wife would face consequences for her actions. The house that had once been a symbol of wealth and security now felt like a courtroom, with the millionaire delivering judgment. For the first time, his wife realized that her actions had cost her more than she ever expected. In the days that followed, the house felt completely different. The millionaire arranged for Rosa and her daughter to stay in a safe place while everything was sorted out legally. He personally took Rosa to a doctor to document the marks on the little girl's arm and made sure they received proper care. His wife, on the other hand, faced the full weight of the consequences. The millionaire filed for separation and informed her that she would no longer have authority over the staff or the home. The family and friends who once saw her as a picture-perfect hostess were shocked when the truth came out, that she had abused the trust placed in her and taken her anger out on a defenseless child. For Rosa and her daughter, life began to change in ways they never imagined. The millionaire offered her a new position with higher pay and provided financial support for the child's education. He even created a scholarship fund in the girl's name, determined to turn a moment of cruelty into an opportunity for her future. But perhaps the most powerful change was within the millionaire himself. He realized that it wasn't enough to simply provide a comfortable home. He had to ensure that it was truly safe for everyone in it. He became more involved with organizations that protected domestic workers, using his wealth and influence to support those who often suffered in silence. The moment that had once filled him with anger now became a turning point, a reminder that privilege must be used to protect, not harm. His wife's actions had shattered the illusion of perfection, but they had also forced him to confront the truth about power, responsibility, and justice. So the next time you see injustice, even in your own home, will you turn away, or will you stand up and take action before more harm is done?